They'll be the first ones to tell you that, like any endeavor that involves human beings, there are people among them that do things that shouldn't be done. But that doesn't mean you get rid of the police department and replace them with social workers. Because if, God forbid, tonight someone breaks into your home and holds your family at gunpoint, you don't want a grief counselor. You don't want somebody there to sort of talk them through it. You want police officers to show up and save your life and your family's life. And that's what's at stake in this election. Because if we don't control the United States Senate, that is the agenda that's going to be pushed. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if the majority of the Democrats, if you polled them and gave them truth serum, were not in favor of it. Because all the energy in that party, all the money in that party, all the people who get on the cover of magazines in that party are in favor of these radical things.
Marco Rubio just came out swinging hard against the Democrats, and in the process, he also took aim at AOC and Ilhan Omar, accusing them of serious hypocrisy. The whole moment was extremely intense, with Rubio blasting the DNC for constantly attacking Republicans who refuse to accept what he describes as their radical agenda. This is the kind of political firestorm you don't want to miss, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's jump straight into it.
But I want to talk to you about the other reality, and that is that rarely does a state, rarely do a people get the opportunity that you've been handed, and that is to determine in a non-presidential race the very direction of the country. Now, I want you to know what we run into all across the country. What we run into are people that run for office, and they will tell you, I am not a radical. I am going to be a moderate. I am going to be, and that may very well be who they are. Unfortunately, when it comes time to vote, they vote right down the party line. I'm not going to say who it is, but the other day on television, I saw one of these so-called moderate Democratic members of the Senate. And I believe he is. I believe that that's exactly who he is. That's just not how he votes. And so on issue after issue,
the midterm elections are only a few months away, and already the cracks are starting to show inside the Democratic Party. They can feel the political mood shifting against them. So some Democrats are now trying very hard to rebrand themselves. They are trying to distance themselves from what people call the radical left, and they keep insisting they are not extremists like voters believe. But Marco Rubio is warning people, and he says he is not buying it at all. According to Rubio, voters should clearly see through this carefully built image. These so-called moderate Democrats may sound softer and more reasonable during campaigns, but when real decisions come up and important laws are being voted on, they always return to the same side. Their voting history shows this clearly. When pressure increases, party loyalty becomes more important than principles. And these self-proclaimed centrists still end up supporting the same radical policies they publicly claim to disagree with. Rubio's message is simple: don't be fooled.
And I have all these people from the national press asking, why did that happen? You know, what happened? What did Republicans do to get the Hispanic vote and so forth? I said, the Democrats that were running are crazy. These are crazy things that they're talking about doing. And normal people don't like crazy things. What do I mean by crazy? This is real crazy. These are crazy things they don't like. They don't think, look, everybody supports the First Amendment. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but we should all support the First Amendment right to protest. If there's a problem and you don't like it, you have every right in the world to protest. That's a key part of our rights and of our country. You don't have a right to burn down a city. You don't have a right to take over a street.
And if anyone needs more proof that Democrats have completely lost direction, just look at the recent IC raids response. Across major cities, federal agents detained and deported thousands of undocumented immigrants. Marco Rubio described this as basic law enforcement, but the reaction from Democrats was total chaos. Party activists and organizers took to the streets, blocking intersections, disrupting public life, and holding loud protests against what was actually legal government action. Instead of standing with American citizens, they stood with people who broke immigration laws. Rubio says this kind of behavior is exactly what helped Republicans win a strong victory in the 2024 election. And he wants voters to remember it clearly. Because when the midterms arrive, these same Democrats will come back with polished speeches and a moderate image again. But Rubio warns not to fall for it, because their actions already reveal the truth.
You know, There is no, we forget a week ago at this time, or maybe 8 days ago at this time, the news was filled with stories of major American cities where these businesses were putting up plywood, which is what we do when a hurricane is on the way, but not when an election is on the way. And I assure you, they weren't putting up that plywood because conservatives were going to be upset at the outcome of an election. These are radical elements. These are radical elements. So these people don't like that. These people don't like police brutality. Our men and women in law enforcement are extraordinary human beings.
And this pattern of political chaos is already creating real-world consequences. One major example is that businesses across the country are already boarding up their stores ahead of the midterm elections. Think about that. Wooden boards covering shop windows have long been seen before big national elections as protection against possible unrest afterward. But now, business owners are not even waiting for election night. They are preparing early, and the reason is very clear. Many believe the Democratic Party has turned into something unrecognizable, a more radical movement that has often excused unrest when outcomes don't go their way. When hardworking business owners feel forced to protect their own shops months before voting even begins, it says a lot about the current political climate. Marco Rubio has been saying this for a long time, and now Main Street seems to be proving him right.
They'll be the first ones to tell you that, like any endeavor that involves human beings, there are people among them that do things that shouldn't be done. But that doesn't mean you get rid of the police department and replace them with social workers. Because if, God forbid, tonight someone breaks into your home and holds your family at gunpoint, you don't want a grief counselor. You don't want somebody there to sort of talk them through it. You want police officers to show up and save your life and your family's life. And so they think defunding the police.
Marco Rubio then turns his attention to one of the most controversial political ideas ever linked to the Democratic Party: defund the police. And it's easy to see why this issue alone has pushed many voters toward Republicans. Nobody is saying police are perfect. Every system has bad actors, and holding abusive officers accountable is absolutely important. But completely defunding the police is something very different. Rubio says this is not reform at all, but dangerous thinking. He gives a simple example. If someone breaks into your house in the middle of the night, you are not calling a community counselor. You are not scheduling a meeting to talk it out. You are calling 911 and hoping trained police officers arrive quickly. He says this idea ignores reality and puts innocent lives at risk.
They're upset. You know, some people are really upset about this. They've got kids. I know, forget about people. I personally know people whose kids are in college, okay? And they've got a crazy professor saying outrageous things. And I'm not saying all professors are crazy. I'm saying there's a lot of crazy professors. There are. Believe whatever you want. But these kids are terrified. They're terrified that they're going to fail that course or get a bad grade if they don't agree with the crazy. There are people in America who work in places where they are afraid to put a bumper sticker on their car or wear a hat because they could get fired.
American universities were once seen as the highest level of intellectual life. They were places where free thinking, debate, and challenging ideas were encouraged. But according to this view, that time is now gone. Today, many classrooms are dominated by strong political ideologies that push certain beliefs, while shutting down opposing views. Students often already notice this, but most stay silent. The reason is fear. Questioning a professor can risk grades, reputation, and future career opportunities. And it doesn't stop there. Even Republican professors working inside Democrat-heavy universities often feel forced to hide their political identity because they fear losing their jobs. In a place that is supposed to support free speech and open debate, political diversity is now treated like a problem. Marco Rubio is strongly criticizing this situation and says it shows a deep cultural issue.
And if you think I'm exaggerating, they're making lists. There are people right now making lists of people they want to go after. And members of Congress making lists about people, we're going to go after these people and destroy their lives. This is lunacy. It's lunacy. So yeah, normal people, you know, that just, Normal people that want to own a home and raise their family in a safe community and retire with dignity and have a country that's safe and stable and give their children a chance at a better life, they're going to vote against people that are crazy and that want to undermine all of that. And that's what's at stake in this election.
And Rubio's warning becomes even more serious when he talks about political targeting. He says this is not something from the past, but something still happening today. He warns that if Democrats regain control of Congress in the midterms, there could be another wave of targeting political opponents. He points to Donald Trump as an example. When Trump announced his presidential run, Rubio says the full power of the system was used against him, including investigations, indictments, and legal actions that he believes were politically motivated. He calls it an unprecedented attack on a political opponent that the entire world witnessed. He also highlights Joe Biden's last-minute pardons and immunity decisions for close allies before leaving office. To Rubio, this was not normal politics. He believes it shows awareness of serious issues behind the scenes.
Because if we don't control the United States Senate, that is the agenda that's going to be pushed, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if the majority of the Democrats, if you polled them and gave them truth serum, were not in favor of it. Because all the energy in that party, all the money in that party, all the people who get on the cover of magazines in that party are in favor of these radical things.
The Biden years, according to this perspective, showed what happens when the radical left gains control. There were open border policies that changed communities quickly. New and controversial ideas were introduced into schools and taught to young children who may not be ready to understand them. Many people believe there was also a gradual weakening of traditional values that once held the country together. And this is only part of it. A Kamala Harris presidency, critics say, would have continued and expanded all of these same policies. But voters across the country were paying attention. Many working-class and middle-class Americans rejected this direction and gave Donald Trump a strong mandate to change course. Now Marco Rubio is speaking directly to those same voters ahead of the midterms. He says the fight is not over. One election does not guarantee the future. The stakes remain high, the threat is still real, and every vote continues to matter.
Bernie, AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet. I don't think people realize we already have a lot of socialism. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, food stamps, veterans benefits, Pell Grants, COVID-era payments, farm subsidies, disability payments, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, corporate bailouts, and the jobs program that is building weapons the Pentagon doesn't even want.
And this warning is not coming only from conservatives. Even voices inside the Democratic Party are raising concerns. Bill Maher, a well-known liberal commentator and lifelong Democrat supporter, has openly said he is worried about where his party is heading. Even though he still supports Democrats, he has criticized the rise of extreme positions inside the party. He has spoken about figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Zohran Mamdani, and Bernie Sanders, saying their influence could harm economic stability and long-term growth. These are no longer small fringe voices. They are becoming some of the most powerful influences in the party. So when someone like Bill Maher begins questioning his own side, many believe moderate voters should pay close attention.
The DSA are radicals about this concept, and radical economic policy is always ineluctably married to radical social policy. Their platform, for example, calls for completely open borders. Therefore, what Biden was doing, but more. You think you're going to win an election on that?
So in the end, Marco Rubio is making his message very clear. He believes the Democratic Party has changed significantly over time. He says it now supports illegal immigration over citizens, pushes defund the police ideas, uses the justice system against political opponents, spreads radical ideology in universities, and elevates leaders that even longtime supporters are now questioning. He argues that the 2024 election showed many Americans rejected this direction, but the political battle is still not finished. The upcoming midterms are the next major turning point, and both parties are already preparing their strategies. Rubio's warning is simple. Don't be fooled by rebranding. Stay aware, stay active, and stay informed. In the end, the future of the country depends on the people who actually show up and vote. Make sure you are one of them. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.